I welcome all of you to my lecture session on nomenclature and classification of enzymes. So this is my third lecture on the topic enzymes. This is a very important topic for the students because this gives clarity regarding the naming of enzymes and their basic functionality. Students can while going through any biochemical reaction, they can easily recognize the functioning of an enzyme by just looking at the name of the enzyme, or else they can remember the name of the enzyme by knowing about the type of biochemical reaction that is happening over there. So let's see what is there in this lecture. Nomenclature of enzymes means we are trying to give name to an enzyme. We are trying to give simply a name to an enzyme. So why do we need to name an enzyme? Okay, because let's say I'll give you one scenario here. In our living cell, there are hundreds and hundreds of reactions are happening, but scientists found that approximately 3000 different types of unique enzymes are there which are actually functioning over there. To recognize all these enzymes, just like let's say if you are studying any biochemical pathway, like A is getting converted to B, is converted to C, is converted to D, it goes on like that. So here we have every biochemical reaction in our body is catalyzed by an enzyme. An enzyme will be there for every biochemical reaction. Without any doubt, you can say that. So every one of these enzymes have a specific role to play. So let's say you are studying all these. At every juncture over here, you need to designate a name so that the enzyme will be identified unambiguously. Okay, because here how many enzymes we have? 3000. So in organic chemistry, how many reactions will be there? So if you take the type of reactions that are happening in organic chemistry, if you take into consideration, approximately 25 different reactions will be there. Don't take me wrong, okay? 25 means how many bond formations are happening? C single bond C, C double bond C, C triple bond C. How many bond formations are happening? CO, CN, CS, CX, and we have reactions on benzene ring and heterocyclic reactions and heterocycles. So if you see here type of reaction that are happening: addition, elimination, substitution. If you put all of them together, you may hardly find 25 to 30 different or unique reactions can be there. So that's the reason why more than one enzyme can achieve a particular biochemical reaction, particular type of biochemical reaction. So that's why, to avoid confusion and to give unambiguous identity of an enzyme, we need to give appropriate name. Okay, so that's the reason why scientists have evolved certain techniques for naming an enzyme. So friends, these are very, very important for us. Let's see one by one. The first method is providing a trivial name or otherwise, because we have millions of enzymes can be there, but some of the enzymes are very popular, so their common name is mostly used. I'll give you some examples so that you can quickly pick it up. Pepsin, trypsin, papain. Okay, so these are all common names. These are not technical names, these are common names, but every one of us can easily recognize these names. But the problem with the trivial naming is how many different enzymes are there for which can be recognized by their trivial name? Hardly 50 or less than 50 enzymes will be there which you can easily recognize. But the problem with common naming is we have hundreds and hundreds of biochemical reactions are there. In some cases, same reaction can be catalyzed by more than one enzyme. So in those cases, it is really hard to name every enzyme and identify them unambiguously. Second thing is, by just looking at this name, can you comment on their biochemical role? Okay, can we comment on their biochemical reaction that is happening? No information is available from this. In fact, all these three enzymes are proteases. Proteases means what? What are proteases? They break peptide bond. All of them, they does this job. Okay, but you will not be able to see any information in their common names. So that's the reason why scientists are now not recommending any enzyme to be recognized by its common name. It gives more confusion. But some of the enzymes are there which were discovered in the beginning of the history of enzymes. So those are still there, like pepsin, trypsin, etc., which were now isolated almost 100 years back. So now, by just considering the enormous problems that we have in enzyme identification, scientists have evolved methodology. It's what we call it as systematic naming. The methodology is very simple. I'll give you one thing. Let's say if a biochemical reaction is happening where A and B are reacting with each other to give C. Here is our enzyme. So regarding this enzyme, okay, what kind of information is needed? What are the substrates it is accepting to achieve this product? Okay, the type of substrates and what kind of biochemical reaction is happening. Is it forming an ester bond or hydrolyzing it, or forming CC bond or phosphorylation, or what type of biochemical reaction is happening? So if you merge these two and if you add ASC to the end of the name, end of the entire sentence, that will become an enzyme name. So the first part of the enzyme name, systematic naming, gives information regarding substrates. And in case of biomolecular reaction, or otherwise if more than one reactant is there, you have to separate them by a colon. And the second part indicates the nature of the reaction. Let's say here esterification is happening. Okay, if esterification is happening, then how will you write the reaction? A colon B, esterification is happening, so esterase. So this will be the technical name for this particular enzyme. It is that simple. So now let's see one example. So alanine and alpha ketoglutarate are the substrates for an enzyme, where this enzyme, what it is doing, if you closely observe the chemistry over here, alpha ketoglutarate is becoming glutamine. So amino group is coming instead of a ketone over here. This amino group is actually abstracted from alanine, and alanine is becoming pyruvate. So here simply what is happening, amino group transfer is happening. So this enzyme is taking the amino group from alanine and submitting it for and giving it to alpha ketoglutarate. So how to name this? L-alanine is one of the substrate, colon alpha ketoglutarate or 2-ketoglutarate or 2-oxoglutarate, all of them are the same. Amino group transfer is happening, so amino transferase. So this is the way how systematic name can be given. So this is really easy if you understand this concept. The next one is, as our understanding on enzymes is increasing, and with the innumerable studies that are happening throughout the world, millions and millions of enzymes are being added to the existing databases. So that's why it is becoming a Herculean task for everybody to give a name to a compound and recognizing it easily. So that's the reason why Enzyme Commission has proposed giving name, instead of name, giving an identification number, that's what we call it as EC number, to an enzyme for easy identification and preparing databases, which it facilitates in databases and information recovery. So here it contains 4 digits, and how actually these 4 digits work, that we will see at the end of this lecture. I made a separate slide for that, because enzyme classification number takes the help of classification. So that's the reason why first let's finish this classification and then we'll come back to EC number. Okay, so let's move ahead. So in the classification of enzymes, you will be surprised if I say that in our entire biochemistry, in a living cell, there are the biochemical reactions, whatever that are happening, can be broadly classified into 6 different types. See, these are the 6 different types. One is oxidoreductases. Oxidation reduction type of reactions are happening on large scale. So oxidoreductases are the enzymes which achieve that biochemical reaction. Okay, these are the first one. Second one is transferases. Just now we have seen one example, alanine aminotransferase enzyme. Okay, like that, some in all these biochemical reactions, whatever are happening in our body, one functional group can be shifted to another substrate. The third one is hydrolase. So in the biochemistry, these hydrolases are one of the as far as number is concerned, these are proportionately more. Oxidoreductases and hydrolases are more in our body. Hydrolases, they hydrolyze bonds. By addition of a water molecule, if you are breaking a bond, or by removing water molecule, you are making a bond. In either of these cases, we are making use of the word hydrolase enzyme to designate that enzyme. Third one is lyase enzyme. Lyase means it breaks a bond. So here we are breaking a bond between two carbons, because in case of a hydrolase we are breaking a bond or making a bond. In case of transferase, functional group from one of the molecule, we are breaking that and shifting it. So in these two cases we don't use the word lyase. Okay, lyase means it is breaking a C-C bond, carbon-carbon bond is being broken. The fifth one is isomerization. How many different types of isomers are there? Structural isomers can be there, steric isomers can be there, and then geometric isomers can be there. So in our body, all these three things can happen where one compound can be converted to its isomer. So the enzymes that are involved in that type of reaction, like isocitrate synthase, etc., they are isomerase enzymes. The sixth one is ligases. Ligation means joining two large compounds together. So here, in case of hydrolases, reverse of hydrolysis is esterification or etherification. So there also we are joining two bonds. But here these are simple small substrates, whereas ligation over here means larger molecules, like let's say 2 DNA fragments are there, 2 protein fragments are there. So in DNA fragmentation, let's say if you have 2 DNA fragments are there, to join them together, the enzyme that is involved in over there that in achieving that biochemical reaction is what we call it as ligase enzyme. Okay, ligation, joining two large subunits. So friends, let's go ahead and see the examples for individual classes. So here one word of caution is, you need to remember the sequence, okay, and the order. So the order is so specific because EC numbering takes this order into consideration. Okay, so here first comes oxidoreductases, transferases, hydrolases, lyases, isomerases, ligases. Okay, so this is the sequence you have to remember. You cannot change it because EC numbering of enzymes takes this order into consideration. First and very important class of enzymes is oxidoreductase enzyme. So if you see the entire biochemistry, large number of oxidoreductase enzymes you can see in almost all types of biochemical reactions. So here oxidation or reduction is happening. Why we are calling it as oxidoreductase enzyme? Because biochemical reactions are reversible. The enzyme which can achieve oxidation can also catalyze in the reversal reduction also. So that's why oxidoreductase enzyme. So if you see by definition, what do you mean by oxidation? Addition of oxygen and removal of hydrogen. Third one is removal of electrons. So these are the three things which we consider as oxidation reaction. Okay, so in case of enzymes, all these three reactions are possible. So whenever a particular enzyme is catalyzing a reaction which is involving any one of these three, we call it as an oxidoreductase enzyme. So let's see. So here normally the type of biochemical reactions that happen in our body, let's say if A is a substrate which is supposed to be oxidized to a product. Okay, so to achieve this, normally in our biochemistry, one more chemical will be used by the enzyme to take up the chemical reaction, to assist in the chemical reaction. So let's say if A is to be oxidized via removal of hydrogens, then enzyme makes use of a coenzyme like NAD or FAD to abstract protons from A. Okay, so this is the way. So that what is happening, A is going to be oxidized, but parallelly the coenzyme which helped in achieving this biochemical reaction is going to be reduced. For example, NAD plus is there, which will be converted to NADH. Okay, so this is reduced form, this is oxidized form. So this is the way how the design of reactions is there in our body. In case of oxidoreductases, the type of names that we see over here, if you call an enzyme by the name oxidase enzyme, this kind of an enzyme use oxygen as an electron acceptor so that oxygen will become water, but do not incorporate it into the substrate. Substrate will not be taking up the oxygen, but it acts as an electron sink. Dehydrogenase is pretty clear. Okay, the enzyme is facilitating in removal of hydrogens from the substrate. Oxygenases are the enzymes which directly incorporate oxygen into the substrate, take up the oxygen and incorporate it into the substrate. So this is the way how it works. Peroxidases are the enzymes which makes use of hydrogen peroxide that is formed in certain biochemical reactions that are happening in lysosomes as an electron acceptor. So here I am giving you one example for oxidoreductase. You can find, because in carbohydrate metabolism, lipid metabolism, as well as in amino acid metabolism or in biosynthetic pathways, you can find hundreds of examples for oxidoreductase enzymes. So here I am giving you one example, that is lactate getting oxidized to pyruvate. So here the enzyme that is involved in this particular biochemical reaction is lactate dehydrogenase enzyme. So what it is doing, it is trying to oxidize the secondary alcohol group that we have on lactate to a ketone group. But the same enzyme can achieve the reverse reaction also. So it can take pyruvic acid and NADH and can convert pyruvic acid to lactate. Okay. So friends, I hope it is clear to you what is an oxidoreductase enzyme. The second one is transferase enzyme. As I told you, it helps in transfer of functional group or a small part of a molecule from one substrate to another substrate. Like this, AB is a molecule, one substrate, and C is another substrate. So this transferase enzyme is trying to shift this B part of the molecule from the substrate, one substrate to another substrate. So these are some of the examples. One of very popular enzymes. Methyl transferases are the enzymes which transfer methyl group from one substrate to another substrate. Aminotransferases, we have seen this one in the beginning. Aminotransferases transfer amino group from amino acid to alpha keto carboxylic acids. Usually this is what happens. Kinase enzymes, these are they transfer phosphate from ATP to a substrate, like in case of glucokinase. ATP supplies a phosphate and which is attached to glucose. Phosphorylases they transfer phosphate group from inorganic phosphate to a substrate. Okay, phosphorylation, because in glycolysis you will see this reaction. So biosynthesis of 1,3-biphosphoglycerate, their phosphorylase enzyme will be there. So this is example. Alanine and alpha ketoglutarate are the substrates for alanine aminotransferase enzyme. The amino group from alanine is being transferred onto alpha ketoglutarate so that glutamate and pyruvate are obtained. So this is one of the very popular example for transferase enzymes. Hydrolases are the enzymes which achieve bond breakage by addition of a water molecule. So here some of the popular enzymes that we have over here are phosphatases. So these enzymes, they remove phosphate group from a substrate. Phosphodiesterase enzymes, they cleave phosphodiester bonds such as those in nucleic acids. And proteases are the enzymes which cleave amide bonds such as those in proteins. You can also have esterase enzymes like acetylcholine esterase enzyme, which breaks the ester bonds by addition of water molecule. So here one example is pyrophosphatase enzyme, which breaks the pyrophosphate molecule to simple phosphates. So here addition of a water molecule to break a bond. Okay, so these kind of reactions are what we call them as hydrolysis reactions, and the enzymes are hydrolases. The fourth type of enzymes that we have in the classification are lyases. In case of a lyase, what exactly is happening is a bond breakage between carbon and carbon. So here some of the examples are decarboxylases. They break the bond between CC. One of the carbon is carboxylic acid. So thereby they decarboxylase, produce carbon dioxide via elimination reaction. Aldolases are the enzymes which break CC bond and form aldehyde groups via elimination reactions. Aldolase enzyme you will see, okay, fructose 1,6-biphosphate is broken down into two parts, okay, acetone phosphate, dihydroxyacetone phosphate, and glyceraldehyde phosphate. Synthases, you will find this name again. This links two molecules without involvement of ATP. Synthase is the enzyme which can link two molecules without involvement of ATP. So here in case of pyruvate, decarboxylase is the enzyme which is able to break pyruvic acid to acetaldehyde and carbon dioxide. Okay, so this is it, breaking CC bond. So here what exactly is being broken? CC bond is broken. Okay, so friends, I hope you are following me. The fifth class of enzymes are isomerase enzymes. Isomerization means what? Converting a compound into its isomers. How many different isomers are there? Can be there. Okay, so you can have geometric isomers, optical isomers, or structural isomers, any one of these. Okay, so here some examples like racemase is an enzyme which converts one of the optical isomer to another optical isomer. Mutases, they transfer groups between atoms within a molecule to achieve this reaction. Okay, so here in case of glycolysis you have this reaction, very simple reaction is there. Glucose 6-phosphate is converted to fructose 6-phosphate. Okay, phosphoglucomutase is the enzyme. So here transfer of groups between atoms within a molecule is happening. So like this. Isomerases are the enzymes, okay, because here citrate is converted to isocitrate in Krebs cycle. So these are some of the popular examples that we have. If you go through the different cycles that we have in biochemistry, you can find hundreds of examples can be there. Okay, try to remember at least one or two examples so that they can help you get a clear idea on these concepts. So here I am giving you one more example of conversion of L-alanine to D-alanine by using alanine racemase enzyme. Sixth class of enzymes are ligases. Ligases means joining two molecules together. So here by default joining of two molecules is always going along with consumption of energy that is supplied by ATP. Okay, so carboxylases are enzymes which takes up carbon dioxide and join it with the existing molecule. Synthetases, they link two molecules via ATP dependent reaction. Earlier we have seen one word, okay, synthesis. The synthesis does not need any involvement of ATP. If ATP involvement is there, we call it as a ligase. Synthetase is one such example. So here glutamine synthase. Glutamine synthase is the enzyme which joins amino group onto carboxylic acid group that we have on glutamic acid. Okay, so glutamine synthetase is the enzyme which makes use of ATP to form glutamine. Okay, so this is the way how we can see different type of enzymes achieving various types of biochemical reactions. So friends, I hope you got a clear idea in understanding different classes of enzymes and the characteristic differences between each one of these classifications. You have to be very careful in remembering the sequence as well as the subtle differences that we have between some of the enzymes. Okay, let's move ahead. So now let's come back to the EC numbering. So EC means Enzyme Commission, which was formed in the latter parts of 20th century to reduce confusion and to increase the ease with which we can catalog all these enzymes. Enzyme Commission has proposed a numbering system, we call it as EC number. So basically EC numbering means what? It contains 4 digits. Okay, let's say A, B, C, D. These are the 4 digits. Usually an enzyme number is given like this: 2.4.2.15 or something like that. Okay, like this: number dot number dot number dot number. It is like that. What is the first number? First number is taken from the classification that we have seen just now. So if the enzyme is a hydrolase enzyme, oxidoreductases, transferases, hydrolases, isomerases, liases. Okay, so this is it. Means the first one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if the enzyme is a hydrolase enzyme, the number will start from 3. Okay, so the remaining 3, this is the subclass, this is subclass, this is the specific number given to a particular enzyme. Subclass means what? If the hydrolysis is happening, what kind of functional group it is going to hydrolyze? Is it an ether bond? Is it an ester bond? Is it an amide bond? Is it a thioester? Is it a thioether? Like this. Specific functional group will be given specific numbering over here. And then comes the subclass. Let's say if it is an amide bond, is it a protein? Is it a simple organic compound, or some other kind of a chemical substrate is there? So this is specific for subclassification. The last one is it denotes its identity. Okay, identity means specific number. Let's say hydrolase enzyme breaking down the amide linkase, and if it is breaking a protein, if it is a protease enzyme, and if it is hydrolyzing insulin, let's say insulin, then this information will be kept over here in the D. So in brief, A indicates the broad classification. The number is derived from the classification we have over here. oxidoreductases are given number 1, transferases are given number 2, hydrolases are given number 3, liases are given number 4, isomerases 5, ligases 6. B number designates specific chemical entity that is handled by the enzyme. Is it an ether bond or ester bond or amide bond or thioester or thioether or so on and so forth? What actually is happening over there is to be designated in this. This is what we call it as subclass. So this is what I explained so far. Major class number is 1, which is derived from actual classification. We have 6 numbers are there. Subclass and subclass, and the enzymes arbitrarily assigned serial number in its subclass. For example, alanine is providing an ammonia group which is transferred onto alpha ketoglutarate so that a pyruvate and glutamate are formed. The traditional or common name for this enzyme is ALT or alanine amino transferase enzyme. It is a trivial name. It is not a technical name for this. So the actual systematic name for this is L-alanine 2-ketoglutarate or 2-oxoglutarate amino transferase is the systematic name. In EC, the code number for this is EC 2.6.1.2. What do you mean by 2? So in the classification, we have this one: oxidoreductases, transferases, hydrolases, liases, isomerases, ligases. Okay. So here 2 means what? It's a transferase enzyme. Okay. So this is major classification is transferase. Subclass 6 is transferring nitrogenous groups. Subclass is transferring amino groups. Enzymes number is 2, alanine amino transferase. Okay. So friends, this is the way how EC number works. Friends, I hope you understood the concept of enzyme nomenclature and enzyme classification, and the significance of EC numbering. EC numbering helps us in documentation and data cataloging of enzymes efficiently. I hope you found this lecture useful. If you like this video, please share it with your friends so that they also can get benefited. Please let me know if you have any clarifications needed, and I'll meet you again with another very interesting lecture soon. Thank you.